There was this young man who came and he sat in the front row every day and he was there on time. Now if you know anything about Africa, that's not really heard of, to be there on time. But he was there on time, and every day we'd give a verse, and when we'd say to read the verse, he'd flip through his Bible. He was looking from the front to the back, and then, well, it was only a New Testament, so when he couldn't find it, he would kind of have a little bit of a sad face, and he'd close it and put it back on his lap. But he would listen, and he was taking notes. And Denver came to me, he said, you know that young man in the front row? He said, I feel like the Lord is saying to take him with us, ask him to be the guard. I said, we don't even know him. The last kid, he didn't work out so well, he left. We don't even know this kid. I don't know, Denver, I don't know. And he said, I feel like the Holy Spirit is saying we need to take him. I said, okay. If the Holy Spirit is saying take him, we'll ask him. You ask him, see what he says. So he asked him, do you have a job? He said, no. He said, would you like to come to work for Loving the Majesty Ministries and travel with us and be our guard? Oh, yes, please. So he came. Well, we later learned that Isaiah had grown up as a Muslim in a Muslim family, and he had become a Christian. Now, many times in these countries, if you become a Christian, you're actually killed. But his family, he wasn't killed, but he was kicked out of the family. Now he went to go live with an aunt who was also Christian and lived with her for a short time, but then she died. So Isaiah became what's known as a cattleman. Now a cattleman takes care of other people's cows, and he makes 15,000 shillings a month, which is less than $5 US. I'd like to tell you it's because things are really cheap in Africa and you can live off that, but it's not true. If you're a cattleman, you have no home, and you do not even have a way to eat once a day, because it's not enough to survive on, but that's how Isaiah lived. But he heard there was a conference, and he asked the church about the conference. And they said, oh no, you can't come, it's a pastor's conference. He said, what if I was the usher? Could I come if I was the usher? They said, well, I suppose if you were the usher, you could come to the conference. So he came to the conference. That's why he sat in the front row and was there on time every day, was because he was so excited to hear the word and to be able to be part of the pastor's conference and be the usher. And now the Lord had brought him to our team. But you see, before we left Alaska, a place in Fairbanks had made shirts for our team, because when we do children's ministry, when there's 400 children, it's nice to have a bright yellow shirt and everybody can see who the leaders are. And so we had these shirts, and I have an embroidery machine, and so I had embroidered their names on all of the shirts. Now there was a young man named Isaiah who was supposed to go with us to be a translator, but he never showed up, he canceled, but everybody else had their name. So I had this t-shirt with this name on there, and I was going to give it away a couple of times because there's lots of people who could use a new shirt. That's never a problem to find somebody who could use some new clothes. But every time I did, the Lord would say, no, that shirt's for Isaiah. You save that shirt for Isaiah. Now this young man was with us, and his name was Isaiah. And I gave him the shirt, and he said, the Lord knew my name. See, he was becoming discouraged because he'd given up